Hey, Matt, thanks again for coming on the show, sir. Good talking to you once again.
Oh, great to be here, Cam.
So you had a really interesting story late yesterday, earlier this week, and folks should not be surprised if they miss this. President Barack Obama signed the Brian A. Terry Memorial Act into law, and yet there was absolutely no coverage of this, Matthew.
Absolutely, and the interesting part about this is well, first off, I mean, you have to commend the president that he actually signed it,
Yeah.
and didn't veto it or just ignore it. So at least he signed it into law. But in the press release that the White House sent out, so whenever the president signs anything into law, just so everybody kind of out there gets this, anything gets signed into law, or there's something major that happens, they send out the administration, the White House will send out a press release saying the president did this today. When he signed the Brian A. Terry Memorial Act into law, he buried the announcement in the middle of all these other things, like halfway through with like 15 other or so other small announcements, and didn't put any quote from the president or from Jay Carney or from anybody in there about this. It was almost like it was an attempt to either overlook it or to get either the press to overlook it or just kind of brush it off. Well, okay, we did it, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Like not even any kind of intense focus on it at all. It was buried. It was totally an intent to bury the news, and the White House is infamous for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I realize this wasn't going to be the top story of the evening, but typically our national media does tend to pay a little bit of attention when a law enforcement officer who was killed in the line of duty is honored by the federal government. I mean, that, they cover these things all of the time. The reason, and so that makes it even worse, Matthew, that the Terry family, didn't even get to see their son honored in a way that they normally would have because the media refuses to cover Fast and Furious.
Absolutely, it is an uphill battle both ways every day to get Fast and Furious and to get it out there, and the other thing is I remember when the Senate passed this, which was last week or the week before, it was not too long ago, that the Senate, and by the way, the Senate unanimously passed this legislation, so did the House. All the Democrats support the Brian A. Terry Memorial Act, so there's unanimous bipartisan support here. When the Senate passed that, I remember I reached out to the Terry family's attorney, and they didn't even know that the Senate had passed the legislation when I reached out to them for comment.
Really?
Yeah, they did. I was the one that informed them, and this is the kind of thing that this administration has been doing, and that would be something that would be the Democrats and the Senate's responsibility to do. But I mean, this kind of thing is that it's really sad that and this similar things have happened to Jaime Zapata's family, is that they're finding this stuff out when when reporters call them to ask them questions. They're not finding out from the people that should be telling them, which is Attorney General Holder and the president.
Well, absolutely. Right now, Matthew, we've got, a lot of discussion, obviously, about the contempt of Congress charges that are being pursued by the House Oversight Committee. If the Obama administration is not even willing to bring up Brian Terry's name to talk about, renaming the border station there in Bisbee in his name, I'm guessing that Jay Carney and those aren't interested in discussing the meeting that apparently took place earlier this week between Speaker Boehner and President Obama, where Boehner brought up Attorney General Holder and said, look, tell him to comply with the subpoena.
Well, it's not like we haven't tried to get an answer out of what happened, other than, the Speaker's office was pretty clear about what happened. They were the ones that told me and other reporters around town that the Speaker brought this up at the meeting. It's getting to that point where the Speaker of the House has to go to the President and say this stuff. But the White House won't answer questions about it. They won't talk about it. They won't. And it's pretty clear. I mean, one of the things, the narratives throughout this entire story that I think often gets overlooked with everything else that's going on is almost the heartlessness of the White House on this. Put the congressional investigation aside. Come on. I mean, you can't you can't offer the Terry family your condolences. You can't, you know what I mean? Like, that's the
absolutely.
kind of thing. And anybody who's playing politics in this investigation. It's the White House and the Democrats in Congress. It's not the people that are pushing for the answers on this. And I think that's what the president's handling of the Memorial Act and some of the other things along those lines really shows is that they're less interested in the truth, and they're less interested in honoring a fallen warrior than they are in protecting their own political agendas.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Matthew, glad you could be with us on the program tonight, sir, and look forward to doing this again soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Matthew Boyle with the Daily Caller joined us tonight here on Cam and Company.